Greetings everybody, I'm Lobo and welcome to Luna. This is episode 133 of my Minecraft survival series, and today we are back at the approach. We are actually going to be working a little bit more over here at the Wormtail site that we started last episode. And we'll get more into this a little bit later. Hopefully, there's a lot to do here. But hopefully we get it all done today. We shall see. But there is some blocks that I'm going to have to take into consideration. The acacia that we're using for the fence post right here. Yeah, I mean, this is not a block that we can farm automatically at our tree farm. And we do have a manual tree farm over yonder. Let's go ahead and walk that way right now. We do have a manual tree farm over here, but we don't really have the means to get a lot of acacia from it because we have like what, four designated spots designated to growing acacia over here. So that's not going to cut it. So what I was thinking we could do first is expand the tree farm. And by expand it, I mean take what we did here, basically this like quarter circle pattern, and then just kind of continue it on the other side of the Explorer's Lodge. And again, this whole thing is because I am too lazy to run back and forth between here and the storage system to our automatic tree farm. I think it'd be easier just to have, you know, wood nearby that we can collect as needed. So I'm just doing a little bit of the initial planning right now, and it's looking like this is going to run into, like as it comes in this little semicircle around here, it's going to run into this mountain right here, okay? And I think I'm going to leave that in place. I'm going to leave most of the natural terrain in place and just let it run into the natural terrain, kind of like we did on the other side, actually. Like you can see this side, the reason why we stopped at what's roughly a semicircle is because we ran into this mountain over here. We're just going to leave that mountain where it stands, but I think we're going to be putting up, you know, some walls or something like that to kind of separate our area from the natural area of the world where mobs are going to spawn and bad stuff happens. And we're probably not going to even get into the walls today. I might do like a little rough outline of what the walls are going to look like, but we're not really going to get into them today. Right now, I just want to get to the point where we have the land run out that we can plant some acacia on, and that we can come back at a later date and actually kind of finish this up and make it look pretty, you know, with like pathways and stuff like that, because as you can see, that pathway kind of stops once it reaches here. Like we'll do the landscaping and all that stuff, make it all nice and pretty at some later date. But at this point, I think we're about ready to get started building. So let's go ahead and call Watchdog on out here, put on a little bit of music, and do this. Welcome back, everybody. Ow. So we got a little bit of this drawn out now. Basically just got the land drawn out, as I said. We got the outlines of the walls drawn in, as I said, and not much else for now because there's a lot of little stuff that needs to be done around here. I mean, not that this is a little project, though, you know, it's going to be pretty big looking at it. It's actually going to be a pretty big area. But there's a lot of little stuff we need to get done. First of all, we just need to get, you know, room to grow some acacia, and we do have that room now. As you can see, we do have to let this grow in for a little while, but eventually this will be nice to walk around. But as I said, we'll touch on that in a future episode. Now I need to go ahead and get some supplies. I need to get some food for what is today's actual project. So I will meet back up with you in just a little bit. And one of the things that we are going to use, one of the blocks that we're going to use finally, is that nether brick that we created a ton of, right? Because the Nether Worm project right here, we got the nether brick for this guy, but we haven't used any on him yet. We're not going to really do this area yet either. We're just gonna do a little sample area today over at the Worm's Tail, at the Wormtail Site. So let me go ahead and collect a little bit of this. We'll bring it on over there and see what we can do with it. And actually, we're going to need a little bit of actual nether brick on top of the nether brick block, because the brick lets us make nether brick fence, which gives us all the variations of these little nether brick thingies right here that we can use to build on the nether worm. And the nether worm is how we're going to actually start this project, because that's the whole reason this Wormtail site was constructed. It was to study the tail end of the nether worm. So let's go ahead and expose this guy just a little bit more, because I was thinking, you know, if Wolfen's Laboratory was going to study this thing that surfaced over here at the approach, they would probably excavate it a little bit so they can see what's actually going on with him. And you know what, just to make things simpler on myself, we're not just going to dig out the area immediately surrounding the nether worm. We are actually just going to dig out everything and start from scratch, because that's going to make things a little bit easier on me. See, now I can just go ahead and start getting the foundation of our little research site built in here and not have to worry about making that work with the terrain that we had going on. And that's going to leave us with a little something that looks like this, which will be easier for us to work on, and it'll also make things easier for the guys at Wolfen's Laboratory to actually study this nether worm beast. One thing that I want to do before we actually get started on him, though, is get some lighting in here, because the last thing I need is for anything dangerous to spawn in here and then blow up a piece of this guy's tail, because I think that might anger him. And for lighting, I think we're going to go ahead and just use sea lanterns and not cobblestone, but stone brick wall like we did up here with the rest of our interior lighting. And that's something else we're going to have to tackle today too, is the interior of this place, the exterior, basically all of this place is something we're going to have to tackle. But I also wanted to mention, if you're not sure what I'm talking about when I refer to the nether worm, if you don't really know what that project is, I just refer you back to an earlier episode, because a lot of the stuff we do here is a continuation of something else. I don't know where to put this next sea lantern. Do we want to go like horizontal with it instead of vertical under the stairs? I think that might work. Yeah. And this should just about do it for us as far as lighting goes. I think everything should be sufficiently lit to avoid spawning, I hope anyway. We will see. I'm sure the mobs of this game will let us know. But I think now we can go ahead and get started on this guy. The first thing I'm thinking we should do is just clip a little bit off the end here, just so we have some room to work with, because I want to use the nether brick as this guy's tail. I want to give him a little stinger, or at least try to give him a little stinger at his tail end here. We'll see if we can actually make that work, but I think I need to figure out like how the nether brick is actually going to work on this guy. I want it to be like something like kind of an exoskeletal plating type thing, but that doesn't cover all of them. I still want to see the nether rack through it. You know, just kind of like a hard shell over him in certain areas, but that still leaves a fleshy bits able to move and, you know, all that stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna play around with this for a few minutes and see what I can come up with, and we'll see how we can, you know, try to make this work. I haven't given this nearly enough thought. All right, so I've got a couple rings going around him at this point. This back one is covering up the nether portal, so we shouldn't be able to see any of that from the outside, and it was an eyesore looking at it earlier, but now we do have the nether portal in here, and it is fairly well hidden, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now, as far as what else we're going to do, I'm thinking we can connect these areas up, like having some plating on his actual back, and then maybe we'll do some spiky things off to each side like this. We'll see how that looks. So I want this guy to look, you know, kind of imposing, kind of scary, not something you generally want to run across. I mean, even like just the fleshy netherrack bits or you wouldn't want to run across that either. But in the context of the game, I want this to be a creature that if you saw it, you would go the opposite direction. That's what I want. That's kind of what I'm trying to get after here. This tail is not working out the way I want it to. Let me get rid of some of this. We'll just do like a little silhouette of it first, I think, and then try to build from that rather than trying to go around and around and around. So maybe we can do something like this that goes down pretty far, like all the way to the ground here, and that kind of looks awkward, but you know, we can enter from the side, I think. And we're also going to eventually get this entire interior done because we're going to be traveling through its digestive system, but right now we're just working on the exterior of his butt. I mentioned last episode how weird of a project this is. I didn't really give it that much thought when I got started on it because we went to his mouth. It only makes sense. Never mind. So I think maybe we do something like this for the very rear end of it, and I think we maybe like figure out some way to add a little bit more detail and spikes to it. That's not really going to work. I would need stuff to attach to each other. But I think for right now, I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of his rings and his dorsal plating in, and then we'll just kind of see what we can do from there. So I'm fairly happy with it. The thing is, like, his little spikes, I feel like they're not sharp enough. So what if we were to sharpen them up a little bit by adding another color to this palette, this kind of silvery, spiky thing? I think I like that. Let me get a little bit more of this in, and we'll see what we actually think of this. I'll put a couple more on this side so that way we can pop down and have a peek at it. Let's see. Yeah. I think that's gonna work. That makes this guy look so much more dangerous. Obviously, he's dormant. He's been here long enough for them to build a structure around him and start studying him. But that does make him look a bit more dangerous, which is what I want. Because you remember, this is a bad thing. This is a bad thing that's burrowed under Luna here. And I think that gets the point across. Now, the rest of the exterior of this guy, like the only other place it's going to be visible is from the New Moon Bay, like way out there. That's where the big sections of this guy are. But at least now we know what we're doing once we actually get around to that, which is good. Now, the next thing I want to do is start working on the ground surrounding this guy, and I want it to be a dirt floor. I want it to look like they dug this out, right? So what I'm going to do is, you know, add a lot of dirt in here. We're going to get rid of a lot of this stone. We're going to add podzol to it, coarse dirt, path blocks, water, just make it look muddy, messy. Because, you know, the guys at Wolfen's Laboratory probably had to do a lot of digging to get what sections of this guy that are out. And that also gives us the opportunity to add some separation to some of these areas as well. So now his stinger is not actually touching the ground, which I think looks much better than when it was. And just so you guys can see what my intentions are, I want it to look like this area right here. So that's a semi-completed area. That's what the rest of this should look like by the time we're done. I'm going to go ahead and get that taken care of. So I'll be back with you in just a little bit. And I'm back. All right, so we have our floor in here. It's super messy, super dirty, super wet, so your boots will get messy in here. But that's why we wear hazmat suits, right? Now, there is some other stuff I want to do to this room. The question is where to start. Oh my gosh, I thought this was supposed to be a secure site. Security is super lax. We got creepers creeping out here. Anyway, I think I know what I want to do. I want to add some more like kind of stone brick details to the regular stone areas. And I think if we kind of border the perimeter of our roof and our balcony, which were the flattest looking areas with some inverted stone brick stairs, that would help a lot. And one more to go. One more to go and it would have been fine. But now I have to go all the way back up here and put in this last thing because I decided to talk and break my concentration as I was doing this. Let's just put that guy, not like that. Not like that. You go in right like this. There we go. And I believe last episode we also talked about the need to make these windows a little bit more opaque. Like I wanted them to look kind of like, you know, sheets of white plastic. And I think what we're going to do is drape an extra layer of that on the outside using these stained glass panes to kind of obstruct the view a little bit. And I think that does its job because you can't really tell what you're looking at anymore. You can see there's something in here, but you can't really tell what you're looking at. And I think that looking down at it from like, you know, our paths and stuff like that, I think that's kind of the effect I want, to be able to look and see that there's something in here, but not necessarily be able to tell what it is. And I think that will give us that effect. I mean, not that you can really tell what it is anyway, looking at it, to be honest with you, but I think that will give us the effect I want. So let me go ahead and make up a batch of these stained glass panes and get that taken care of next. And maybe we can run those down to like a little windowsill type thing, just to add a little bit more depth to the bottom here, because that area was looking a little flat to me as well. And once we are done, that's going to give us something that looks a little something like this. Now, the majority of this room is finished aside from these areas around the doors, because we do still need to figure out what we're doing as far as these doors go. And what I'm thinking as far as the doors right now, what I want to try at least is I want to do a piston door on the side where you actually enter the Nether Worm, the Wormtail area, the actual site itself. Not on the laboratory side, but on the site that we would actually enter from. And since I do plan on doing a piston door, and since I do plan on having villagers there, and my redstone isn't the safest at times, I think maybe we'll want to add a little bit of caution tape around that too, which means some black concrete and yellow terracotta. And while I was up here, something did occur to me that I do want to address. I think a few episodes back, I mentioned I want to have a path leading up to our spawn pad. And the initial intention was to have this path come through the valley and then go to the spawn pad. But that's no longer going to work with our tree farm, you know, where it is. So what I was thinking instead is, instead of having the path like come through the valley itself, we could have it like kind of follow the wall here. Like if we were to maybe like have a pathway coming around this mountain right here and then bring it over here and follow the wall down, we could still do a pathway to our spawn pad from out in the world, but it wouldn't interfere so much with our tree farm. So I don't know, that's something we'll think about more a little bit later, but yeah, I just wanted to get it out there. Anyway, the caution tape is up and I think it is about time to go ahead and get our doors in. And there will be a door on this side, I think, because this is where you'll get your hazmat gear and stuff like that, you know, and we'll probably have another door over here. But everything after this, you'll be wearing your hazmat gear, so I don't think that we're going to have to put a piston door in front of the laboratory to block that off. Because, you know, our researchers will still be wearing their gear in here, you know, while taking samples. We don't know how these samples would affect you. So they'll always be wearing their hazmat gear past this area. And I think as far as getting like all the door stuff done, I'm going to do most of that off camera so you guys don't see me fumbling around with redstone. So yeah, I'll go ahead and get that taken care of. So jumping ahead a little bit, we got the wiring of this thing in. You can see it's now open. We have this hooked up to a little pulse extender here so I can actually make it through the door without getting squished. That took too long. That was my fault. Let's try it again. This time, making it through the door before it actually closes. There we go. That's much better. All right, so yeah, that's that. Pretty simple. Now I just need to get this kind of filled back in. And there we go. Now that we have this done, I was thinking that, you know, it would also probably be beneficial to add a couple more piston doors. One out here at our entrance, because yeah, this is not secure. It's just an open circle. So we would have to change our perimeter, redraw our perimeter if we're going to do that. but that's simple enough because we haven't really added fences up this way yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that taken care of next. And voila, there we go. So we have another working piston door, and I want to actually start getting some more stuff done. I want to get this whole thing wrapped up before the end of this video. So there's a lot to do here. We have to get the exterior to this building done. We're going to have to run, you know, our new perimeter around here. Like, we'll have to get the landscaping in. We'll have to get our security office that's going to be right here in. We're going to have to kind of dress this up a little bit and kind of fix this missing pieces of wall right here. This is going to be where we suit up into our hazmat suits, and across the way, that's where our laboratory is going to be. So we'll have to get that taken care of next. So basically, most of the interior of this needs to get done. The exterior, a lot of that is going to be mostly like landscaping, stuff like that, since most of the exterior is halfway decent, I guess. So at this point, why don't we go ahead and call Watchdog on out here, put on a little bit of music, and say hi to this cow. Everybody. Welcome back, everybody. Bet you didn't see me there. So we did get some landscaping done around here. Obviously not on the outside, just inside the perimeter itself. Eventually we'll get a lot more landscaping done, but right now we're just worrying about specific areas. So one good thing about this is that this entire place should be non-spawnable. We have light sources galore, some hidden, some not hidden. And we also have some little rock formations in here just to add some detail to liven the place up. We also have our cow, hi cow. We'll say hi to him one more time. And then we'll go and actually take a peek at this from the outside, which is currently unguarded, but we should have some security personnel here eventually. The same goes for in here. There should be a security guard in here, kind of making sure that everybody that has access to this area is authorized to. This door opens up once the first door closes. That's why I was waiting in there. It opens automatically. And this door leads us to our changing area where we'll get dressed in our hazmat suits, which should be right here, but I need to get some gold armor for those. And if we go through this way, we actually did this area together a little bit earlier, so you guys already know what's going on in here. But over here is the laboratory, and actually I did not go the authorized route. We're not supposed to jump on the worm. We're supposed to go around the worm, and we have to kind of go through this area, and then we can go up these stairs into the laboratory where we can, you know, look at our samples and kind of run some experiments in here and flip levers that don't actually do anything aside from turn on some repeaters. But I do think that pretty much covers it for this area. Obviously, there's still a lot more work to be done to the worm itself. We have to get its entire digestive tract that we're going to be traveling through in there. But as far as this building goes, that's pretty much it. Oh, and I did decide to put these on pressure plates rather than having a button just to make it easier for me to get to and from my nether portal. But before we wrap this up, I do need to get some gold armor for these guys. Now, I would prefer not to have to craft it, and I would also prefer not to have to take it off of these guys over here at Jumping Jack-Lanterns, even though I think they might have exactly what I need. I'm hoping that we have some buried in some chests somewhere. I mean, in the 2+ years we've been in this world, I'm sure we've come across plenty. I'm just hoping I haven't thrown it all away. So as far as what was in the non-stackable item section of our storage system, we did come across a couple gold helmets, which is good. We also came across these, which I could maybe trade for some gold armor over at Jumping Jack-Lanterns. But before I resort to that, I do want to check our chests that are just out in the world that haven't been put through storage yet. Oh yeah, here we go. The Eclipse Outpost provides. So we have a helmet and a chest plate, another helmet right here, unenchanted, which is what I want, and another chest plate. Now, all we really need is some boots and pants and boots and pants. Boots and pants, yes! So we did find one pair of boots and pants, at least, over here in our old garden center from way back. But unfortunately, at this point, I've checked everywhere I could think to check, and I have not found another boots and pants. But I did find this stuff right here, which I can't believe I just forgot about. So that's going to come in handy, especially the gold in crafting another pair of boots and pants. All right, so we have our boots and pants. Now we need to unenchant another pair of pants and boots. Hey, trophy! Look at that. Look at that. I got a trophy. This is my first time using a grindstone. I like this. Pretty intuitive piece of machinery right there. Anyway, we've got our hazmat suits, and we've got our hazmat suits in the room they're supposed to be. Are these armor stands still posable? Oh, hold on. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Oh, maybe... Let's just put them with their arms down like that. Okay. So we have our hazmat suits. We have the Wormtail Site pretty much done. It is done. It is done. So yeah, that's it. We're done. We're done with this place. There she is, the Wormtail Site as viewed from the opposite side of the river. But that is all the time that I have for today. So if you guys have enjoyed this episode, please feel free to hit that little thumbs up button. That would mean a whole lot to me. If you want to see more, please remember to subscribe. And as always, I just want to thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I deeply appreciate it. And until next time, I am Lobo, and I will see you guys later.